Iterate through columns in read-only workbook in Openpyxl. I have a somewhat large .xlsx file, 19 columns, 5,185 rows. I want to open the file, read all the values in one column, do some stuff to those values, and then create a new column in the same workbook and write out the modified values. Thus, I need to be able to both read and write in the same file. My original code did this. However, Python threw a memory error after row 3853 because the workbook was too big. The Openpyxl doc said to use read-only mode, this URL, to handle big workbooks. I'm now trying to use that. However, there seems to be no way to iterate through the columns when I add the read_only equals trueparam. Python throws this error. Attribute error, read-only worksheet, object has no attribute, iter_calls. If I change the final line in the above snippet to Python throws the same error. Attribute error, read-only worksheet, object has no attribute, columns. Iterating over rows is fine, and is included in the documentation I linked above. No error. This question asks about the attribute error, but the solution is to remove read-only mode, which doesn't work for me because Openpyxl won't read my entire workbook in not read-only mode. So, how do I iterate through columns in a large workbook? And I haven't yet encountered this, but I will once I can iterate through the columns. How do I both read and write the same workbook, if said workbook is large? Thanks.
According to the documentation, read-only mode only supports row-based reads, column reads are not implemented. But that's not hard to solve. You will not be able to write to the same workbook, but as shown above you can open a new workbook in write-only mode, write to it, and overwrite the old file using OS copy.
If the worksheet has only around 100,000 cells, then you shouldn't have any memory problems. You should probably investigate this further. Iter_calls is not available in read-only mode because it requires constant and very inefficient reparsing of the underlying XML file. It is, however, relatively easy to convert rows into columns from iter_rows, using zip.
This might be a slower solution, but given your query was to iterate through a single row tuple, I found a better solution.
If you want to support the channel, please consider liking and subscribing.